You know, a lot of people talk the talk without walking the walk. At the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, we make an attempt daily to make a difference in the lives of others. Our broadcasts are to inform some and remind others about things going on in this world. The topic may be uncomfortable to you, but if you don't talk about it, how can we move forward? Why don't you join us each and every day right here on Spreaker.com or thesmokingglasshour.com. Let your voice be heard. We are on the move in 2015. And by the way, don't forget to like and follow us on Spreaker.com.
I'm taking you out tonight. I think you're so special. Have I told you that I loved you lately? And I'm so glad you're my baby. My heart is proud when I sing about you. And every day I know I can't live without you. And I don't mind, I gave up my hustle. For the things you need, I'll use my muscle. Girl, get your bag, we're going out. So we're going out to paint the town. Let's ride. We're going out tonight. So we're going out tonight. Let's ride. So let's ride. Your favorite dress on and put on your high heel shoes and some of that perfume, that one that smells so good on you. So good on you. Then after dinner, baby, we're going out to hit the town and dance and party all down. Then late night we'll drive up the coastline and watch the sunrise, just you and I. Let's ride. Let's ride. We're going out tonight. So we're going out tonight. Let's ride. So let's ride. We're going out tonight. Taking out my baby. Let's ride. Let's ride. We're going out tonight. Gonna wine and dine. Take my baby high. Come on, baby. Let's ride. Come on, baby. Let's ride. So let's ride. Let's ride. We're going out tonight. So we're going out tonight. Let's ride. So let's ride. Gonna wine and dine. I can't wait to take my baby out tonight. So let's ride. Let's ride. Come on, baby. Let's ride. Let's ride. Let's ride.
for a personal injury attorney? Look no further than Columbia, Louisiana. W. Mark McKee specializes in personal injury cases. He is located at 7134 Highway 165 in Columbia, Louisiana. Tell Mark you heard it right here on the Smoking Glass Hour with Beer and Glass. You may also contact Mark at 318-649-2622. That number again, 318-649-2622. Contact him today. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Beer and Glass. We are honored to have you as a guest tonight and want to thank each of you for your faithful support. Without further delay, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Baron Glass. Mr. Glass, take it away.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. Tonight we had a little technical difficulty before we came on, but nevertheless we are broadcasting live at 8:38 p.m. Central Standard Time. Today, all women should be excited. Today, all women should be celebrating. Today, women, it is your day. The 19th Amendment, granting women rights to vote 95 years later. Where do we stand when it comes to the rights of women? Having the right and access to voting and all other things that are granted to men here in these United States of America. We know that passed by Congress on June the 4th of 1919 and ratified on August the 18th of 1920. The 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote. Now, I'm as equally excited because I have a mother who is 85. I have sisters who range from 62, 60, and 52. I have two daughters ranging from 22 to 14. I have nieces ranging from 41 on down to 32. I have great nieces ranging from 14, 13, 11 on down to about 5, 6, 7, or 8. So I am excited because women now have the right and access to do the same thing that I as a man can do. Now, the 19th Amendment clarified that the right to vote could not be denied any citizen of the United States based on sex. Let's take a look at the lengthy path traveled by women seeking not only the right to vote, but also acknowledgement of citizenship. Now, we're only talking in 1919. So I know that many women have heard the term, women aren't as intelligent as men. Women should maintain their positions inside the home and leave the politics to men. Women are more delicate than men and therefore not equal. How stupid does that sound in the year of 2015? Now, these statements might seem ridiculous to us right now, but all are examples and reasons that both men and women once used to keep women from being allowed to vote in this country that we know as the United States of America. It wasn't until August of 1920 that I stated that women were officially granted the right to vote in the form of an amendment by the Constitution. Now, the amendment was the 19th Amendment, was the result of decades of efforts from women from all walks of life. Now, it specifically stated that the rights of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Now, when we look at all this, although many people take the right to vote for granted in this country, it is important to understand why the right to vote is such a symbolic right in a democracy that we have here in the United States. Now, we will try to examine and look at some of the heroic efforts that reformers went through to achieve this right, this voting right, and create a society in which a democracy was not just a mere rhetoric conversation, but a valued and practiced principle that we should be able to celebrate in 2015. The right to vote is not just the ability to choose our leaders, such as the president. The right to vote is the symbol that you as an individual matter in this nation. It gives you a voice in the matters that affects your life. It is the recognition of you as a citizen in this country. So when we look at women, when women were denied this basic civil rights in early America, it was really only a matter of time before the organization to fight this inequality would take effect. Now, the fight on the national stage, it began somewhere, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think around 1848 at the Seneca Falls Convention. Now, the meeting was put together by a lady by the name of Elizabeth Cady Stanton and her friend Lucretia Mott. Now, Stanton led a group of delegates to create a Declaration of Sentiments modeled off of the Declaration of Independence, which declared equality for women, and more specifically, that women should have the right to vote. Though the idea was mocked by many at first, women conferences continued to grow, and other activists such as Susan B. Anthony joined the cause. Now, when we look at how this thing started to develop, we understand that there were people who always tried to discount what was going on. And even today, in 2015, people still try to discount that women can think and act on their own. Now, when we look at the start of the Civil War, many women chose to put the movement on hold while they turned their attention to the division of this country. And it seems as if a division has always existed. Following the war, men and women were torn about their support for the 15th Amendment. Now, this amendment dealt with granting black men the right to vote. So we look at 15th Amendment and we forward on to the 19th Amendment. 15th granting blacks the right to vote, black men, and the 19th Amendment granting women to vote. So when we look at all of this stuff, when we look at in the past, we know that the black community and the women's suffrage movement had supported each other. But when this amendment failed to extend voting rights to women of any skin color, guess what? Stanton, who was a woman, and other leaders of the women's suffrage movement withdrew their support. The amendment was ratified anyway in 1870. In the face of many setbacks, Stanton and Susan B. Anthony formed the National Women's Suffrage Association with the goal of creating a national amendment granting women the right to vote. That same year, the American Women's Suffrage Association, which is known as the NWSA, another women's suffrage group formed with the goal of gaining the right to vote for women by ratifying individual state constitutions. Now, when we forward on to 1878, the suffrage movement had gained enough support to put an amendment on the Congress floor for debate. Though the amendment was struck down by the Senate once again, the suffrage movement did gain a victory in 1869 when Wyoming Territory granted women the right to vote. So here we are once again. We have the majority, the male, the white male, specifically insinuating and factually stating that not only were black men considered 3/5 of a man, but women did not have the right to be able to vote. So why is that? Why do certain people feel that they have access and control to everything? When we look at the congressional defeat, we understand that the two groups merged to form the National American Women's Suffrage Association, and the goal of the newly formed group was to fight for women's suffrage on a state-by-state basis. When we forward to 1900, as Stanton and Susan B. Anthony had gained age, a new leader in the fight for women's suffrage emerged, And that lady was named Carrie Chapman Catt. Following the death of Stanton and Susan B. Anthony in 1902 and 1906, the NAWSA met with some challenges but overcame them with smashing success between 1910 and 1918. More than 15 states extended voting rights to women. When we look at new activists named Alice Paul, who made her way to the suffrage scene, she was a young, vibrant, and highly educated woman. Alice Paul learned of controversial and sometimes militant tactics that were used in the British fights for women's votes. So when we look at Black Lives Matter, when we look at All Lives Matter, we understand that sometimes tactics are used to gain support of others. She was put in charge of the NAWSA, and the post was later known in Washington, D.C., where she formed her own fundraising committee known as the Congressional Union for Women's Suffrage. If you have daughters, if you have granddaughters, you need to make sure that they go back and listen to the history of the women's suffrage movement. They need to understand that on August the 18th of 1920, they were given the right to vote. They were considered not eligible to vote. Why on this God's green earth? I still cannot understand why. Now, when we look at the women's movement in the 1960s, we know that they ushered a new wave of feminism that sought to address the national issues of gender. We know that they learned about the movement, which we are trying and hoping that people now in 2015 learn about the movement, learn about its leaders, and the ultimate outcome for women in the United States of America. The modern women's movement in the United States occurred in two major waves. Now let's make sure we understand it. The first wave of the feminist movement took place between 1880 and 1930 and included major influences such as Emma Goldman, Margaret Sanger, Jane Addams, and Carrie Chapman Catt. The major achievement of the period was securing the right to suffrage via the 19th Amendment in 1920. However, the movement for liberty and equality suffered and ultimately collapsed following the Great Depression and the Second World War. After a brief period of inertia, the women's movement gained momentum once again with the onset of the 1960s. When we look at Betty Friedman's book known as The Feminine Mystic, it helped pave the way for a new phase of women's liberation. When we look at President John F. Kennedy, when he organized the Presidential Commission on the Status of Women, which helped usher in challenge and change, such as the Equal Pay Act of 1963, making wage discrimination a federal crime and the end of gender discrimination in federal workplace. When we look, women were included in the Civil Rights Act of 1964 when gender discrimination was outlawed in addition to racial discrimination. As a result of all of this, three major campaigns formed during the decade to create what became known as the second wave of feminism. These campaigns were presented and represented by individuals within the following classification. And here we are: liberal feminism, radical feminism, ultimately conservative feminism. Now, when we look again, these groups clashed throughout the 1960s and the early 1970s over the roles and rights of women in society, and the movement eventually came to a climax over the Equal Rights Amendments. Now, if you look at the Congress today, if you look at the United States Senate today, we have women who feel that women should be paid the same as men. And we have women who feel that the pay that women receive now is A-OK. So nothing is new under the sun. The clash happened then between the major campaigns. They are clashing now. When we look at liberal feminism, sometimes known to many as social feminists, they attempted to promote liberation and address the inequality between men and women through political tact and diplomacy. When we look at the organization known as NOW, which is the National Organization for Women, which was founded in 1966, was the powerful political arm of the liberal feminists and led by individuals such as Betty Friedman, who served as the president. When we look at Alice Paul and most famous Fannie Lou Hamer, although she was not an official member. Women, where are you today when it comes to joining hand? Where are you today when it comes to doing the things that you must do? The organization called for women to achieve an equal socioeconomic status with their male counterparts. The National Organization for Women, are also known as NOW. They supported the notion of organizing small chapters for women to meet and discuss the issues of this period. The discussion of these issues surrounding women became known as consciousness raising, which is the ability for women to relate the issues of their personal lives with larger national issues of gender discrimination. I know that there are some women who is out there listening. So let me make sure I run this by you again. The discussion of issues surrounding women became known as consciousness raising, which is the ability for women to relate their issues of their personal lives with larger national issues of gender discrimination. Somebody help me. In addition to promoting social equality with men, now lobbied for congressional legislation, including the prohibition of sexual discrimination in the public and private sector, as well as the National Equal Rights Amendment, which was federal legislation that called for a ban on discrimination based on gender. While we look at equality, was for the most part a goal of the liberal feminist branch of the women's movement, the battle against racial discrimination was associated with the larger goal of anti-sexual discrimination. When we look at pioneers such as Fannie Lou Hamer and Gloria Steinman, they campaigned for both gender and racial equality within the country known as the United States of America. So when we look at this time period, when we look at the women's suffrage movement, we understand now that it has not always been easy for women. It has always been hard for women. Women have always been looked upon as second-class citizens. So women, when you see people out there fighting for civil rights, when you see people out there fighting for social rights, remember, it was only 95 years ago that you had the right to step up to the plate and cast your vote. You had the right to do as men are doing. So when we look at all of these things that are transpiring in this country, we must understand that just as I talked about last night about Julian Bond, activist, being an activist, I'm talking to women tonight. You can't just depend on Hillary Clinton. You can't just depend on Elizabeth Warren. You can't just depend on Gloria Steinman. You just can't depend on Planned Parenthood. And I forget it was the president, the governor's daughter of the state of Texas. I can't think of her name. Ann Richardson was the governor. It's her daughter who heads up Planned Parenthood. You can't just sit idle. You have to become involved. You have to get up out of the lazy boy chair. You have to become proactive rather than reactive, because the same voting rights that are being trampled now, when we look at certain sections of the voting rights side, we know that people are trying to dilute all of those rights. We know that based on certain laws, we know that people are trying their best to make sure that as less amount of people that can vote, it allows them victory at the polls. Now, once again, when we look at some of the things that were said by men and women, women aren't as intelligent as men. How stupid does that sound? How stinking thinking is that? Women should maintain their positions inside the home and leave politics to men? Come on now. Somebody ought to be able to relate to that ignorant comment. We understand that some people don't have the understanding that we are all created in the image of. We all have talents and gifts. If the good Lord said that he will have rocks to cry out to get his word, well, why wouldn't a woman be qualified to issue his word? Why wouldn't a woman be qualified to talk about her body? Why wouldn't a woman be qualified to do the things that they need to do? Why do you need a man to tell you what needs to take place? Women understand their body far more greater than men will ever understand, because when you look at the specifics, when you look at the facts, most of the time it's the wife telling the husband exactly what's wrong with his mind, exactly what's wrong with his body. So when we look at the women's suffrage movement, our message tonight is the 19th Amendment granting women the right to vote 95 years later. We're going to take a short pause, and I'll be right back.
Looking for a personal injury attorney? Look no further than Columbia, Louisiana. W. Mark McKee specializes in personal injury cases. He is located at 7134 Highway 165 in Columbia, Louisiana. Tell Mark you heard it right here on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. You may also contact Mark at 318-649-2622. That number again, 318-649-2622. Contact him today.
Now we're gonna take you back, y'all. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, George. Do it, George. Do it now. Yeah, you're right. Oh, darling, I'm so lonely without you. And I can't sleep at night, always thinking about you. Oh, darling, please let me come back home. 'Cause your love means so much to me, baby, and I just can't stay away too long. Yeah, toi.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. Tonight we're joined by a very special guest, Mr. Ongerio Cameron. Ongerio, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Byron. Thank you for thank you for welcoming me to the show.
Oh yes, anytime. Ongerio, I watch your posts a lot, and I always notice that you always give homage to God, and you always indicate that your writings are inspired by God. Would that be a correct assessment of what we're talking about tonight?
Absolutely. I think that God, we must give the credit to God. I think it's very important to give the credit to God, because without Him, I don't think any of this would be possible. So you're absolutely right to assess that.
Okay, so when we look at tonight, on the 95 years later, we know that the 19th Amendment granted women right to vote. 95 years. Now, that's what that I would say that's in recent history. Now, Ongerio, it's my understanding that you have some writings that you would like to read live broadcasting here tonight on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, something that God has inspired within you. Would that be correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's a piece that I wrote called "What Has Happened to Our Beautiful People," and I think it's such an important piece that God had inspired me to write, because it poses a very very serious questions, and I think that we have to be awakened as a people, and hopefully that's what this poem is designed to do, is to awaken the conscience of us as a people. So I'd like to share that with your audience. It's called "What Has Happened to Our Beautiful People."
Ongerio, before you go any further, tell us basically the state where you're calling from, and why you feel that encouraging is always better than discouraging, and we need to encourage all walks of life, because if we are trying to exemplify God and become the image of God, it is very important that we take the concept of inspiring and encouraging other people. Tell us where you're from.
Absolutely. I'm from the state of Arkansas, city of North Little Rock. I grew up in a small community by the name of Dixie Edition. I'm the youngest of 14 siblings. All of them were also writers. And I think it's very important to be encouraging versus discouraging, because the way that you achieve peace is through uplifting people and, helping people to achieve their goals and dreams. When people are happy, people are peaceful. And so the goal has to be to get everybody to a point of happiness.
Right. And the reason why I did that, Ongerio, because we are listened and heard on Jam Vibe Radio out of Columbia, South Carolina. Real people, real life, real answer, real life broadcast out of Houston, Texas. We have listeners from all across the state of Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, California. We come on over to Arkansas. We look at not Texas. We look at Oklahoma. We look all on the eastern coast, Baltimore. We look at places like Atlanta, North Carolina, all of those places. So I like for people to know that there are other people that are out there doing the work of God. They may not be out there in the front, but they are still doing things. So at this point in time, Ongerio, I know that you're anxious about going into your inspired writing. So I'll let you take over at this point and do what you need to do.
Okay, thank you, Byron. Again, let me tell your audience the name of this piece that God has given me is called "What Has Happened to Our Beautiful People." It says, "What has happened to our beautiful people? Why have our children turned deadly and lethal? Widespread violence and executions, mass murders, chaos and confusion. It's not the streets that teach kids wrong. Remember, charity begins at home. If you don't instill the moral code, you arm the guns they lock and load. So what has happened to our beautiful people? We practice hate and worship evil. Our streets are paved and coated with red. How much blood must our children shed? How many tears must the mother cry? How many sons and daughters must die? Police are only part of the problem. Absent of God, how do we solve them? Satan's tongue is well rehearsed and lies with plagues to quench his thirst, deceiving eyes of ignorance blind, those who turn to a life of crime. So what has happened to our beautiful people? A broken promise is irretrievable. Has common sense drifted so far? We can't distinguish peace from war. The time for change is long overdue. The conscience of guilt has confided in you. It's time to sit down at the kitchen table. Talk about God instead of violence on cable. Reality shows have become the new schools that teach young girls how to act like fools. Define success by the money they make. They can't see the harm because the fame is too great. They're products of a demonized plan. Sister fights sister over a no-good man. So what has happened to our beautiful people? We can't escape through drugs and needles. Insanity, hemorrhage, and leak stupidity in every neighborhood across each city. Guns can't make it go away. Drive-by sprees, nor bullets you spray. An innocent little kid goes to bed. Windows shattered, dreams lay dead. Anger drenched and soaked in rage. Become irate and disengage. Retaliation, point and aim at those who caused hurt and pain. Graveyards make plenty of room for heartbreak, headstones and tombs. Prisons are nothing but tax-paid wakes. Coffins are ordered by federal and states. A merciless system decides how much freedom and dignity have to give up. So what has happened to our beautiful people? The diagnosis is inconceivable. We have the courage to maim and kill, and yet we're afraid to let Jesus heal. Don't play host to genocide's plan. To extinguish our presence from off of this land. This tear-written plea, it pains me deep. We have two choices, victory or defeat. Thank you.
Ontario, I am speechless. Why? Because you shot an arrow right through the hearts of many. You did what God has commissioned you to do, which is tell the truth, even when they don't want to hear. Let me ask you this, Ontario. When you're doing your writing, I noticed you said that all of your siblings are writers. We have access to that same poem that you just wrote. If you will email that to me, we will have that posted on our WordPress, giving you full credit for that. Not only this writing, but if you have any other writing that's out there, we will do you that favor and put it out there so all of Facebook, all of social media, anybody that's out there reading who is looking and willing to have the truth, you have that option of doing that. So I am glad. Matter of fact, I am honored because you spoke directly to the heart of the matter. You even mentioned that most people are afraid to mention. Absent of God, okay, what has happened to our beautiful people? The question remains, when Malcolm was living, when Martin was living, when Medgar Evers was living, when Julian Bond was living, when Ontario and Barron is living, the question remains, what has happened to our beautiful people? It seems as if we are bought into a misconception of what life is all about. Ontario, I'm not sure if your mother is still alive, but I know if she were to hear this poem, it would bring tears to her eyes because you spoke to the heart of the matter. Because we're talking tonight about the women's suffrage movement, the 19th Amendment granting women rights to vote. Now that they have a right to vote, they refuse to do it. So the question again, what has happened to our beautiful people? I'll put it back on you, Ontario. What do you think has happened?
Well, I think it's a disconnect from God. I think it's a disconnect from morality, values, and principles. These are the things that are rooted in respect. And until we reestablish that, then that's what will happen. It's a lack of justice, a lack of education. All of these things are a combination of factors. And when they lead to poverty, poverty is a weight on the African-American people. And sooner or later, it breaks the backs of African-Americans or anybody who's up under that tremendous stress for such a long, long time. So to re-strengthen us, we have to go back to our spirituality. That's where it all begins. And we have to create a movement that get parents involved in raising their children in a much more productive way to where they have this kind of respect and morals and values and principles.
Okay.
That's where it begins.
Okay. So when we look at, let's bring this closer to home. When we look at the negligence and or the absence of the black male inside the home or inside of the community, do we understand or do we feel that that might be one of the procuring causes of why we are, because to me now, The man is the head of the house. Okay, so if the head of the house is not there structurally, it seems as if it can't function well. Do you see it that way, Ontario?
Absolutely. I think we live in a time sometimes where we tend to raise our daughters and we love our sons. Mm-hmm. We have to start raising our sons. We have to start teaching them. And so men have to step up. This is a big thing. You know, men have to really step up and take accountability. That's one of the things I was hoping to have stressed in that piece I just wrote, is how important it is. What has happened to our people? Well, there's no fathers. There's no fathers to guide the sons, to teach the sons. What I tell a lot of single mothers is this: it does not take a woman or a man to teach a man how to be a man. Mm-hmm. That's not the purpose of a man. A child, if he's taught right values and right morals and principles, he's going to grow up and be a good man. Uh-huh. But a father becomes a role model. Uh-huh. You know, he shows him how to express that manhood.
Come on, Ontario, you preaching now.
Absolutely, and that's the important thing that I think men have to understand, why it's so significant that they be there in the family to help raise it. I grew up, and yes, both of my parents are deceased. In fact, we just lost a sister of mine. We buried on the 13th.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so that was very tough. But my father and mother were always in the home, and he was such a strong, important force. But they didn't never share any different values when raising me. Mm-hmm. My father taught me how to express that manhood. So that was the difference between it, and that's what a man's role is. But it is so important for women to understand that, because there are so many single mothers. It's so important for single mothers to understand it does not take a man to teach a man how to be a man, but how to express that manhood. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between it. So I want them to know that if they happen to be in a situation where they don't have a man, do not think that they can instill these same values.
Right,
because
right.
Values don't change, right? Values don't change.
And I'll tell you, Ontario, I'm not putting you on the spot because I don't like to put people on the spot. But I'm feeling your conversation. And it's exactly the conversation that we talk about here each and every broadcast on the Smoking Glass Hour, because our message is clear. Our goal is to make a difference. And your conversation has the ability to make a difference. So I know that your schedule is probably hectic. But I want to give you the opportunity and extend it to you at any point in time. If there is a topic that is inspired to you by God, please let me know, because I would love to talk about it here. Because one of the other goals is we want people to start accepting the responsibility and stop blaming so much. Now, when I say blame, I'm talking about blame with nothing else in mind. Now, there is a certain blame that's out there, because some of this institutionalization and all these other things, dismantling of voting rights and all of those other things, those are systemic. Those are systematic. But when it comes to me having a child, I'll use myself as an example. When it comes to me having a child, I laid there and I vanished. That's my fault. That's not the man's fault. That is my fault. That is me neglecting my responsibility to help raise this child. So when we look at us accepting our responsibility, it goes back to this. What has happened to our beautiful people? When you look back in the 60s, a man may have had 2 or 3 women, but he always took care of his home. Nowadays, we look at it, some of us have so much going on to where we just absolutely forget about what is going on. Ontario, once again, your poem is very touching.
Thanks.
Again, I'll give you the opportunity to email it to me, get it to me in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and I will make sure that it's put up on the WordPress. I will share it with you on your page, and you can share it abroad, because I feel, since it's inspired by you, tell a neighbor, tell a friend, we are on the move in 2015. We need to make sure that we pass your message on so the masses of the people can look, listen, and understand, and hopefully be energized to become more involved in the process. I'll give you the opportunity to give a closing statement of in your own way, any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's on you, Ontario.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, absolutely, Byron. I would definitely get that piece to you, and I'd be more than happy to come on the show and participate again in many topics, or share my ideas with you. But yeah, in just closing, I just want to reiterate basically what I've said, you know, and that poem stands on it. What has happened to our beautiful people? You know, we need to ask ourselves that question, and we need to get involved. Everybody is part of the solution. Nobody is part of the problem. Everybody's part of the solution, so we got to get everybody on board to do their part. And that's what I would just basically say. One thing I was checking out on what you had said was about a movement. What is a movement? You know, a movement is somebody who get into the marches and participate. And one of the things I want to say to these young brothers out here, because I hear so many of them say, what is marching going to do? What is marching going to do with the police? And they forget all the other things that came along with it. But we have to inspire children to get into politics. When I looked at the 2014 statistics, we had 1,950 members in the United States Congress since it had been a Congress, and only 9 of them had been black. And if you're going to change justice, then you can't do it from the outside in. You got to do it from the inside out.
Amen.
So we have to get our brothers and sisters into politics. We got to get them behind the benches instead of in front of them, and we got to get them to be lawyers and policemen in massive numbers. We got to inspire them to enter that instead of always football, basketball, and these other high-end paying sports. We need to get them where power really exists. So that's my last thing.
I'll tell you, Ontario, I'm one of those guys who I seize the bull by the horn and I take him where I want to go. And you are touching on all of these issues, all of these points, the conversation that must take place around the kitchen table. But see, when you look around the kitchen table, there is an absence. When you look at the 6 o'clock or the 7 o'clock, when it's time to eat supper, guess what? Most kids have no idea about coming home. Most parents are not even bringing or asking their child to come home. When you grew up and I grew up, when that street light started warming up, you best believe it's time to be at home. And if you get home when that light is on,
that's right.
Sometimes you got to pay the piper. Mama say put some heat to the seat. So when we look at your question, when we look at your poem, what has happened to our beautiful people in the absence of God, that alone right there is a topic that warrants a discussion. And it needs to be discussed on a daily basis. Because guess what? We have brothers and sisters from all walks of life. We have brothers and sisters that are out there who are trying to help. But when you look at a young child, Ontario, that is 17 or 18 years of age, that's raised by a 79-year-old grandmother, something is wrong with that picture. Something is wrong with that picture when the 17-year-old child decides to curse his grandmother out like a dog. Something is wrong with that problem. When we look at Black Lives Matter and they ask Hillary Clinton a point-blank question, rather than her ask the question or answer the question, she gives some political response. We need to stop accepting. That's why I am proud to say I am a proud supporter of women and women's rights. I am a proud supporter and a proud in my family.
Absolutely.
So when we look at the 19th Amendment granting women the right to vote, I salute all women today, and I hope that all women decide to go out and vote. Ontario, once again, I want to thank you for reaching out. Ontario hails from the state of Arkansas by way of Little Rock. Ontario just lost a sibling, and we want to make sure that we pray that God give you guys strength to be able to overcome, because he says that he will put no more on you than what you can bear. So, Ontario, thanks.
Absolutely, and thank you again for having me on the show,
right.
and allowing your audience to have a chance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not only will the audience hear this tonight, I'm going to share the archives on your page. I'm going to send you the archives in your email, and you're going to be able to send this out, and you can look at it, and it'll tell. We're looking at about 49 minutes and 23 seconds in the broadcast. So if they'll fast forward up to about 45 minutes or 44 minutes, they will hear Ontario Cameron talking about what has happened to our beautiful people, because I want people to hear what you have to say. I want people to hear your message. So we're going to make sure that not only do they hear the archive show, and they can go back any time of the year, anytime day or night and listen to it. We want to make sure that they are able to read your words that have been inspired by God on the Smoking Glass Hour WordPress. And as soon as you get it to us, we will make sure that we have it up in a timely manner. Ontario, I'm going to let you go, but before we go, I'm going to let you know that there's a song by Mr. Eric Clapton called Change the World. I'm going to ask that if you have a moment, when you log off, go to www.thesmokingglasshour.com. And all you have to do is go to the top of the page. You're going to see a live button right beneath the Smoking Glass Hour online streaming music talk radio. It's going to say the 19th Amendment granting women rights to vote. Press the play button because I want you to be able to listen to the change of the world. And then when I come back, I'm going to pay homage to you once again, and we're going to end the broadcast. So once again, thanks for coming on, Ontario, and may God continue to bless you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. We just heard from Mr. Ontario Cameron out of the state of Arkansas. Ontario read an inspired poem, inspired by God, a poem, What Has Happened to Our Beautiful People. And he referenced in there the absence of God. And I believe it's so prevalent. We're going to take a short pause. 3 minutes and 54 seconds to be exact. We're going to play some sounds of Mr. Eric Clapton, Change the World. Here we go.
If I can reach the stars, pull one down for you, shine it on my heart, so you could see the truth. Then this love I have inside is everything it seems, but for now I find it's only in my dreams that I can change the world. I will be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good. Baby, if I could change the world. If I could be king, even for a day, I'd take you as my queen. I'd have no other way. And our love will rule in this kingdom we have made. Till then I'd be a fool, wishing for the day that I can change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good. Baby, if I could change the world. Baby, if I could change the world. I could change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good. Baby, if I could change the world. Baby, if I could change the world. Baby, if I could change the world.
Looking for a personal injury attorney? Look no further than Columbia, Louisiana. W. Mark McKee specializes in personal injury cases. He is located at 7134 Highway 165 in Columbia, Louisiana. Tell Mark you heard it right here on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. You may also contact Mark at 318-649-2622. That number again, 318-649-2622. Contact him today.
Hey Mo,
Yes, Lou?
I think younger kids need to know the value of sacrifice.
Yes, I agree. There is one place they can learn about sacrifice. If they tune in on WMAD and the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on Monday nights, they can learn. It's informative with current topics. And by the way, the show is hot.
The show is smoking hot.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. Tonight's topic, 19th Amendment, granted women the right to vote 95 years later. We was joined by Mr. Ontario Cameron out of the state of Arkansas by way of Little Rock, who read us an inspirational poem titled, What Has Happened to Our Beautiful People? And he referenced in there the absence of God, which most people today, it appears that they are afraid to even mention the word G-O-D, even say the word God, or even support God. But on the flip side of that, those who don't believe are not afraid to let you know that they don't believe, they have no desire to believe, and they don't understand why you believe. So as a believer, until I take that last breath, we're going to always be able to point out in reference that God is somebody, God is our supreme, and God is our waymaker. Ontario Cameron, once again, we want to thank you for calling in all the way from the state of Arkansas by the way of Little Rock. If you don't mind, get us a copy of that poem, What Has Happened to Our Beautiful People, and we will display. Now that we know what has happened to our beautiful people, we know that the 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote happened 95 years ago today. The question remains the same. Mr. Marvin Gaye, what's going on? And we want to say thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight to listen to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, because our message, once again, is very clear. Our goal is to make a difference. And we hope that we have said something, encouraged somebody to get up and get out and go abroad tomorrow and make a difference. Here we are with Marvin Gaye. What's going on?
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah. Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see, oh, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, yeah, what's going on, oh, what's going on, right now. Right on. Right on. Mother, some understanding here today. Pick it loud and pick it sound. Don't punish me with brutality. Come on, talk to me. You can see what's going on. Yeah, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. Right on, right on. Right on.